Hi, this is Aditya. Welcome to my channel Quick Learn. Today we're gonna discuss about the third part of the Constitution, the borrowed features in the Indian Constitution. The borrowed features from where our Constitution get influenced by. This is the third part. We're gonna discuss about this part. The Indian Constitution is known as a bag of borrowing. It's kind of criticism that will take place on Constitution Assembly. We'll discuss about this. The Indian Constitution is known as the bag of borrowing and draws its features from the constitution of many countries. Uh, Dr. Ambedkar said something about this. He added it was created after ransacking the known constitution across the world. Here, B.R. Ambedkar have studied 60 constitution of different countries before drafting the Indian constitution. More than 60, more than 60 constitution of the different countries. He also said, as to the accusation that the draft constitution has produced a good part of the provision of the Government of India Act 1935, and I make no apologies. This is what B.R. Ambedkar said. I have I make no apologies. There is nothing to be ashamed of in borrowing. He said that he is not ashamed of borrowing because he had influenced of he had get the influence of different countries' constitution. Some of them are newly independent. Some of them are using old constitution like codified constitution, uncodified constitution. UK constitution is uncodified codified constitution, and the USA constitution is a codified constitution. And like this, he has uh, he make no apologies for what he done. There's nothing to be ashamed of in borrowing, and he also adds that it involves no plagiarism. Nobody holds any patent right in the fundamental ideas of a constitution. This is the uh, very good point that he added. It involves no plagiarism. Nobody holds any patent right in the fundamental days of a constitution. Despite the borrowed features in the Indian constitution, it is unique set of laws that explain the structure and working of the government of India. Ambedkar emphasized on religious, gender, and caste equality and introduced the reservation system in the Constitution of India to create a social balance amongst the classes. And as we have said earlier, Ambedkar have studied the constitution of more than 60 countries before drafting of the Indian Constitution. And there are 11 sources from where Indian Constitution's features borrowed. And the sources from where the Indian Constitution borrowed are as follows. First one, Government of India Act 1935, British Constitution, Ireland's Constitution, United States of America's Constitution, South African Constitution, Canada's Constitution, France, Australia, Soviet Constitution, USSR, now it's become Russia, Germany's Constitution, Weimar, Japan's Constitution. These are the 11 sources from where Indian Constitution get influenced by. The features are borrowed from these sources. From these 11 sources are first the Government of India Act. From the Government of India Act, what we have borrowed: federal scheme, Office of Governor, Judiciary, Public Service Commission, emergency provision, administrative details. From Government of India Act 1935, we have borrowed these uh, 6 features. Second one, British Constitution, the country from which parliamentary election is borrowed. From British Constitution, we have borrowed parliamentary elections. First one is parliamentary government, nominal head president, who elect like queen, post of prime minister. That is what we borrowed from British Constitution. Lower house, more powerful, single citizenship, cabinet system, prerogative right, parliamentary privileges, bicameral parliament, speaker of Lok Sabha, rule of law, legislative procedure. These are the 11 features we have borrowed from British Constitution. The main thing to remember is from British Constitution we have borrowed parliamentary election, post of prime minister, bicameral parliament, speaker of Lok Sabha, rule of law. These are the important features from British Constitution. The third one is Ireland's Constitution. From Ireland Constitution, we have borrowed concept of DPSP, that is Directive Principle of State Policy, and Ireland had borrowed it from Spain. It's not Ireland's own idea of concept of Directive Principle of State Policy. Ireland also borrowed from Spain, and from Ireland we have borrowed concept of Directive Principle of State Policy. And the second one, nomination of member to Rajya Sabha by president. Method of election of president. Method of election of president. We have borrowed this one. These features we borrowed from Ireland Constitution. Fourth one is United States of America Constitution, the country from which fundamental rights are borrowed. We borrowed fundamental rights from USA Constitution. First features is written constitution. Second one, impeachment of the president. Supreme Court, provision of states, function of president and vice president, removal of Supreme Court judge and High Court judges, fundamental rights, judicial review, independence of judiciary, preamble of the Constitution. And the preamble of the Constitution that has been borrowed from United States of America. And the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights we have borrowed from US's Constitution. Fifth one is a South African Constitution. From South African Constitution, we have borrowed procedure for amendment of the Constitution. How we will amend our Constitution. That is what we have borrowed this one from South African Constitution. And the second feature is election of member of Rajya Sabha. That is what we have borrowed from South African Constitution. Sixth one is Canada's Constitution. This is also important features that we have borrowed from Canada's Constitution. The federal system. From Canada we have borrowed federal system. Federation with a strong center. A vesting of residuary power in the center. Appointment of state governor by the center, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. From Canada's Constitution, we have borrowed one main point is federal system. That's what we borrowed from Canada's Constitution. Seventh one is French Constitution. From French Constitution, we have borrowed ideals of republic in the preamble. Second one, ideals of liberty in the preamble, ideals of equality in the preamble, and last one is ideals of fraternity in the preamble. We have a preamble in our Constitution, and republic, liberty, equality, and fraternity. That is what we have added in our preamble. These features are borrowed from French Constitution. Eighth one is Australia's Constitution, the country from which concurrent list is borrowed. We have discussed in our previous part about concurrent list state policy. From Australia's Constitution, we have borrowed concurrent list, freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse, joint sitting of the two houses of parliament, the language used in the preamble. That is what we have borrowed this from Australia's Constitution. The last ninth one is the Soviet Constitution, USSR. Now it become Russia, the country from which fundamental duties is borrowed. Fundamental duties borrowed from Soviet Constitution. Fundamental duties, second one, ideals of justice, social, economic, uh, and political in the preamble. And third one is 5-year plan. 5-year plan we have borrowed from Soviet Constitution. We have a 5-year plan after election. That is what we borrowed these features from Russia's constitution. 10th one is Germany's constitution. From Germany's constitution, we have borrowed suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. During emergency, how we suspend the fundamental rights. That is what we have borrowed this feature from Germany's constitution. And the 11th one is Japan's constitution, the country from which Indian constitution borrowed law on which Supreme Court function. The country from which Indian constitution borrowed law on which Supreme Court function is concept of procedure established by law. These are the 11 features. These are the 11 sources from where Indian constitution have borrowed its features, and we have a fine in the second longest constitution of the world. And B.R. Ambedkar have studied more than 60 countries' constitution before drafting our constitution. And these are the features. Hope you will enjoy the video, enjoy the information, and please subscribe the channel, like the video. Do you have any if you have any complaint about these parts, please comment us, let us know what you're thinking, and thank you so much.